The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to The Force of Others. I'm Matt Boitner.
I'm Zachary Owen Turner, and we're back with some more Skeleton Crew.
Is this going to be an every week thing?
As long as we're Skeleton Crew, absolutely.
Well, as long as we're Skeleton Crewing, Zach's doing his angry pirate voice. I'm doing my happy Matt voice, because at the risk of being a shameless, childish fanboy, I criffing love this show. Dank Ferrick does not describe my love of this show. I'm absolutely vibing.
Yeah.
So I'm a happy guy, but we'll get into all that here in a little bit. We're gonna dive into some Q&As, and we got a couple really fun Star Wars news stories on top of our review of Skeleton Crew Episode 3. But before all of that, Zach, let the people at home know how was your week, and did Star Wars find you this week?
Yeah, my week was really good. Went and saw a friend of ours, Sophie Mashofsky, put on her one-woman show this weekend. She's been writing, so I went to that. I got to read the stage directions. It was a reading, so got to do a little acting, and that was really fun. And she was amazing. Shout out if she's listening. And yeah, so I got to do that. That really got me creatively jazzed. I got to play D&D for the first time in 6 months.
Woo!
And yeah, it's been a good week. Star Wars didn't really find me in any particular way. Except for, Skeleton Crew, which is also great. Just watched it. I am fresh. I just finished it 10 minutes ago. My partner and I were talking, literally, theorizing, right until I was hitting record. So I'm
well, if Kai's watching too, I would like to get Kai's thoughts on the show at some point.
I knew it was a good show when I was like, hey, do you want to watch the show with me? And she's like, I don't know. I'm after the Acolyte, a little burned, because she really enjoyed that show and they canceled it. And she was like, yeah, I'll watch it, and we watched it. And then a couple of days later, she was talking to her friend, and I heard her say, have you watched Skeleton Crew yet? And they're like, no. She's like, it's amazing. And I was like, all right, we're in. We got her.
Love that. That's awesome.
So, but
right on.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Well, so I had I don't want to say it was an uneventful week, but I had kind of an uneventful week just because it was busy. It was the last week of my academy semester. Shout out all my teachers and students. Wonderful job. Another semester of theater education well done. It was busy for Jenny and I, because it was also kind of the end of her semester, and she had her big 2-hour dance studio recital. Whew. So I didn't read any stage directions, but I watched 2 hours of kids dance. So,
wow.
Yeah, man. Yep. Anyway, so wonderful job, dance streams people. But at a certain point that they're dancing. So. But Star Wars didn't really find me either, just because I'm a busy little guy. I have played some more Outlaws.
Nice.
I'm finding that for my enjoyment of the game, I am not someone that can just sit and play games for hours and hours and hours like I used to when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. They talk about, maybe I'm too old to marathon video games anymore. But I'm going to enjoy a slow burn experience with that game. I really am having a good time with it.
Where are you at?
So I'm still, because again, this is technically my second playthrough, but I'm enjoying. For me, it's like the roller coaster is scary the first time.
Yeah.
It's fun the second time. Mm-hmm. I have learned what I need to do and how I need to interact with the story to have fun. And that might sound silly, but I am a writer, I am a creative, and with these open world games, it bothers me when I feel like I have missed a couple character beats for even the side characters to then justify lines like all of a sudden ND5 going, I'm not broken. And with the way I played through in the first time, I was like, bro, I just met, what are you talking about? Like, what? I met you 10 minutes ago. This is weird. It kind of came out, and so
it's because you're supposed to do a bunch of side quests, and he chimes in on each one,
100%, 100%. And I know this now, but I did not know that the first time. And so I was like, oh, okay. And it's I have to work with my own control issues to enjoy video games sometimes. But either way, Star Wars didn't really find me. But just like the kids looking for Atten, I'm not having to look for my joy. That was a terrible segue. The point is, my opening thoughts for Skeleton Crew Episode 3, are you not entertained? This is how the Force works. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again until the show messes it up. I don't think it's going to. When Star Wars is archetypal and universal, it hits. That's what makes it king. Star Wars is a distillation of every pulp, action adventure, high adventure, Saturday morning cartoon or serial you have ever seen. Just put in a blender. That's Star Wars. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it fun. Keep it simple. Let's go. Keep the audience guessing. Don't wait.
Yeah.
I saw another review, and I've seen a couple of this. The only negative I've seen was people saying that the show suffers from the same pacing as other streaming shows, to which I
disagree.
I fundamentally disagree. I think we are cooking. Acolyte, while that show, it was flawed for me, I also liked it a lot. I thought the pacing, to be perfectly honest, I can say this now that I've watched Skeleton Crew, I thought the pacing was whack on the Acolyte. As much as I really, really loved Episode 5 and was screaming the whole time, for the first, 4 episodes, I was kind of like, okay, there are things that I'm liking, but it really drug for... And then
same
after
with
that,
Book
it
of
drug
Boba
again.
Fett. Even Mando Season 1 has pacing problems.
Yeah, I a little bit, sure. I think Mando Season 3, has more pacing problems. But that's mostly just because it's not pacing problems. It's what is this story problems. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, oh, okay. Well, why did you set up this if you're going to do that? But neither here nor there. We're talking about the crew, and I like this crew. It's a good crew to make our crew. What's your, okay, that's enough of me. What are your opening thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, So things that just stuck out for me, things that I remember saying while watching the show. I love how mysterious this show is. There is such mystery, not only on Atten, but okay, he's I have a friend on a moon. Who is that? They open the door. There's such an air of mystery in every moment. Who are these kids? Who are their parents? What are they doing? Where are they going? Everything is just mystery, high intense, high octane. Let's go, have fun. There's not a moment in the show that I'm like, all right, well, this beat can move a little bit quicker. And I love that. I mean, it could still happen, but I feel like the third episode of Mando, even season 1, it was okay, why are we on this planet?
What was the third episode of Mando again?
I think the third episode of Mando was the Kurosawa Seven Samurai one.
Oh, yes.
And you're but why?
The Cara Dune episode.
Yeah.
That was the first Bryce Dallas Howard Star Wars.
And it's a good episode on its own. Don't get me wrong. It's just in the story, it's okay, but what we're okay, and there's a lot of filler episodes in Boba, Mando 1, 2, 3. There's always some sort of filler episode. I feel we haven't had any filler yet, and I don't think we're going to, because it's cool, we have to go and we have to go and we have to go. We might get the next episode. I will probably now jinx it, and the next episode is probably gonna be yeah, that was fun. But I hope not. I hope it's just cool, let's go, mystery forward. Every episode serves a purpose, to build the story. And Jude Law is masterful in this show. He is just firing on all cylinders. There's that moment where they're taken off from I think the second planet, and the droid's but half of the things aren't built, and he's well, build it, And I was that is such a Star Wars comedy moment where it's oh, we can't do this. He's well, we're gonna,
Well, that's a moment that I put in my likes as well. Just you can't take off. What was it? The life support systems are disassembled. Reassemble it. We're taking off.
Yeah.
that is a classic Star Wars element that isn't always present. Of course, it comes from Chewie and Han. Like, Chewie, get us out of here, and you find out that the Falcon, while fast, is kind of also a piece of junk.
Yeah.
It's a hot rod. But it's a quote from J.J. Abrams to Ron Howard when Ron was working on Solo, and J.J. said that something he learned making Force Awakens was that for Star Wars to flow the way that classic Star Wars does, every decision the characters make is life and death.
Yeah.
Every single one. Now, you got to have fun with that. Like, it's not in, like, a dire, like, we're going to get our heads cut off if we screw up. It's like a ridiculous, pulpy, well, if we take off too soon, the atmosphere inside the ship isn't going to be ready and we're all going to suffocate. We'll fix it! We're going! You know what I mean? Like, that's when it's cooking.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was it? There's going to be pieces of us in 3 different systems.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, but back to your positives.
No, I mean, should I go into my likes after opening thoughts? Or?
Oh yeah, I thought you were. My bad.
I mean, it was opening thoughts, and then I just kept on going because the show is so fun.
Yeah.
I love pirate culture. I love the piratey culture. He's not just Jodna Nawud, which seems to be his secret name. He's Crimson Jack. He's Silvo, which means he is Long John Silver. I called it.
You did.
He even cooks them food. I love, the old pirate who's like, he let you out of the brig. Why would he let you out of the brig right before your, like the disarming pirate who's old and is like, you're the best captain I've ever had. I'm still gonna mess you over because I'm a pirate, I can't remember her name, but the owl cat alien is
Kim.
Yeah, is so cool. It's like a mixture of the owl from Winnie the Pooh meets Lobot meets my cat.
Yeah.
Love that we saw some X-Wings, and the X-Wings are treated like TIE fighters in this show. It's so funny because we were watching it, and Kai's like, I mean, I don't want them to get off this planet because I want them to go with the safe people that will actually probably get them home. KB really shines for me in this episode as well.
Yeah.
I felt like we finally got some like story beats with her, and like I'm so curious about her backstory. I love that we got a little bit of the parents just being like, what is going to go on? Love the representation in the parents. KB has 2 moms,
100%.
which is great. But yeah, I love, we talked about it, Kai and I just talked about it. It's like all of these kids have such different families. Like Neil is from like nuclear, like classic family. Wim is absentee dad. Fern's overprotective mom. KB is like, stable, at least from what we've seen so far. And it's like, it's so interesting because it's like they do so many different like dynamics with these kids. Like the boys are too trusting, the girls are like a little wary, everyone's a little wary. Wim is out the wazoo, like he's a Jedi, I don't care, I saw him do the Force, I'm gonna do whatever this man says, he put me in a gunner seat, I'm excited. And I think he's gonna lead to so much trouble. Anyways, I've talked enough likes. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, if it's not obvious, we like the show, guys. Yeah. My likes would just, if I did all of them, it would be the whole episode. But I mean, to say a similar one, Jodna Nawud, baby, like I love that performance.
Yeah.
Jude, like, there's a Star Wars style of performer that I know that sounds silly, but that I feel like Jude Law fits to a T.
Yeah.
Like, charming but dangerous. You know what I mean? I sound like I'm describing a model. He's charming but dangerous. but there's just a certain thing. It also works in a role, like, I'm going to keep calling him Jod so that we know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
It works in a role like that when you cast an actor that is a well-known and trusted quantity by your audience because you have history with them. You look at them and you're like, yeah, I know Jude Law. I like Jude Law. He does a good job. Oh, Jude Law doing Jude Law things. And it just works for a role like this.
Yeah.
Although,
Jude Law, sometimes I feel like he swings and misses, but he always swings, you know?
Yeah. I guess maybe I haven't seen any of his misses. I don't know. But, you know, I say that.
But no, he is great.
Yeah. Every single comedic every single comedic beat, except for one, worked for me. Yeah. I laughed out loud 2 or 3 times. Just one of the things that stick out was Fern's like, but I'm not even tired. Smash cut to her mouth open, just asleep. Yeah. Which is classic kid. I loved that Fern is immediately doubtful and Wim is immediately trusting of Jod. The character dynamic is so well locked in on this show because they're not having to explain it, they're just doing it. These are people this is a show that is being written purely interested in forward motion. We're not going to explain it, we're going to do it. And when you just do things, you don't have to do kind of the dialogue that has plagued other Star Wars shows, like Book of Boba Fett, for example. We have to make our stand here in this alley. Why? Because... And then you have to explain it in a dumb way where you can just be like, we make our stand here! And then you just do it. Yeah. Don't explain it, just do it. Because the explanation is made up anyway and it doesn't matter. Just do things. Yeah. You know? I like how we are completely ahead and past the Captain Silvo stuff. Yeah. You know, we could all see where it was going. I predicted it months ago, right? They know. I thought it was a really interesting take, as we're not going to do the basic thing. The kids are going to know and call him out that he is a liar.
At every moment.
And at the end of episode 3, they're facing down, as far as they know, getting exploded. The truth. Like,
he's like, the truth.
Yeah. Also, in episode 3, we are already hearing the kids debate what the great work even is. Yeah. We are so far past what I thought we would be at in episode 3. There's 5 episodes to go, and all the characters are aware that the jig is up. Yeah. That's fantastic. Just other little moments. It can't smell as bad as, wait, not that, when he sees the ship. Classic. This dumb bit with the blind droid, where he wakes up the droid, and it was clearly Sam Witwer has talked about in other other interviews, where Lucasfilm brings in actors that they know to do ADR voiceover recordings for all of those random voices in Star Wars. And so it's just actors that they know that are funny, that know the universe. They're like, hey, you could tell it was an improv bit for this droid. Oh, I've got to save the prince. Wait, I can't see. And then what made it so funny was that in the background of the next shot, it's walking into a wall on repeat. Is fantastic. That same sequence, Jude Law saying "bomb bad," and this is a bomb bad fuel line. I laughed. They're making episode 1 relevant.
And the B-1 battle droid too.
Oh yeah. Yes, I love it when Star Wars isn't afraid of the weird parts of Star Wars. Yeah. The silhouette shots against the moon on that last planet when they're going to see Kim, that was just gorgeous. Yeah. That you could tell it was the volume, and that was one of the better uses of the volume that I've seen in these 5 years of Star Wars streaming for me. And I mean, it might not be the volume. Might not be the volume. I might be talking out of my butt, but it definitely looks like it. Yeah. Our new owl best friend, Kim. I'm converting to the religion of Kim, and I will only think about Kim for the rest of my life. I loved everything about that sequence. It reminded me of a mix of just other owls that they were coming off of. Yeah. It reminded me of Archimedes from Sword in the Stone. And also, and not really this, but just the idea of an owl keeping watch over a library made me think of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And just let's acknowledge what a cool legend of Adin. Yeah. You know, I'll talk about it more later, but the jewels of the Old Republic, planets of wonders kept hidden for their protection, all destroyed except for one. That's fantastic. This is what I'm here for. I am here for in-universe legends. What's cool about what they're doing and tying it to the Old Republic. The Old Republic is untouched in canon.
Yeah.
Because it's now confirmed that this is like about 1,000 years before even the prequels, right? And it's untouched in canon. So, because I don't think this is a High Republic thing anymore.
You don't?
I could be wrong.
Because the Great Works, you still don't think it might be like...
I think it might be a coincidence. It might be, it might not be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if that is a coincidence. But I would love to be wrong. And then one last that's also kind of ties into a question. We saw more Jawas. I love that.
I was
but
like,
are they full on? Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, oh my gosh, Jawas, and Kai goes, how are they there?
I mean, well, we talked about it in our Thanksgiving episode that they're seen on whatever that planet is
in Mando.
On Mando episode 2.
Yeah.
It's Kuil, the Ugnaughts planet, or where we meet Grogu as well.
Yeah.
So I love that Jawas are intergalactic because I think that's hilarious. In the same way that I would be annoyed if Tuskens appeared on other planets, I think that wouldn't really work for kind of the way their characters are supposed to be. Intergalactic Tuskens, I don't know. But intergalactic Jawas, I think, is hilarious because everywhere you go, there's people that's trying to steal your things and resell them to you. And I think it's funny that you can be walking around Coruscant and there's Jawas walking up.
Yeah. I was like, they probably just were like, oh, we're gonna steal on the ship. The ship took off and went away, and they're like, all right, we're here.
Yeah. They got left.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just as our likes are coming to a close, my dislikes are going to be short because guys, I love this show. I love it, but go ahead.
I have one more comedy beat that just got me. When they're all they're like, oh, go save SM-33, and he's like, okay, fine. When he's coming back and they're just sitting on the ship chatting, and in the background of the window is just like and they're like, oh no. I was like, that is so funny. But yeah,
that's the good stuff.
It's good stuff.
You gotta have the juxtaposition of characters just having a casual conversation, having no clue that their ally is about to get just blown up completely. Yeah, for now, this show is absolutely hitting on all cylinders for me.
Yeah.
But so moving into some respectful dislikes or struggles or little nitpicks, Zach, what do you got? What didn't vibe with you?
I mean, as a story beat, it is interesting that we are already distrustful of Silvo, Crimson Jack, Jod and Nawood, whatever you want to call him. I think that is interesting because the kids are choosing to go with someone that they know is not necessarily safe, and so I think that's the only thing that I've really run into. Because the owl lady was cool, and she's like, "Hey, I'll help you guys," and KB is still like, "All right, peace out." I think that's the only really thing that I've run into on the episode is oh no, they're choosing to go with a pirate,
Yeah.
So that I think is interesting. I think it's fun. I think as a story beat, it's gonna lead to interesting places, but from a character motivation thing, it's okay, this guy isn't safe, but I guess everyone kind of isn't safe because nobody knows your planet. But yeah, it's the gaslighting is a little weird for me. Jod is full. He's a gas lamp. He's not a gaslight. He's But I love so much of it. I love that he. Other just random likes. I love that he was oh, I'm gonna go find old pirate clothes and put them on. And a shining moment for me. SM-33. Walks away.
Well, see, that's funny. That's the only comedy beat that I didn't like.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah?
He's just an old pirate being like, I'm watching you. Walks away. Still watching. Yeah.
I'll give it a rewatch. It might work better for me on the next step, but that's really funny. That was earlier I mentioned there was only one comedy beat that I was like, okay. But just on the Jod of it all and the kids trusting him, I think it was the type of thing that like they didn't really have another choice.
Yeah.
While Kim was cool, I don't necessarily think that Kim or the New Republic was going to be able to find At-Aden.
Well,
I
Kim
might be
found
wrong.
it.
Did she?
Well, she thinks she did. I mean, they took
Did
the
she?
card from it. She's like,
oh, you're so right.
Kim found it.
That's
like,
right.
He destroyed
You're
the
right.
computer,
You're right.
but that doesn't mean she couldn't find it again.
Well, that's the thing.
know?
She destroyed the computer. He has the map now.
Yeah.
So he's their only way. And I thought that it made good kid logic for them to be like, we're not partners. You work for us. And he's like, oh my God, fine.
Yeah.
Like, I think that we're like, you need us, buddy. So
An SM-33 with a freaking blowtorch, like, I'm gonna kill you, dude.
Hilarious. Oh my gosh. But my only other dislike, and this is not a real thing, but where's my boy Carson Teva? Where is he? Where's he at?
Yeah.
He is the Phil Coulson of this, Star Wars streaming.
I also was like,
where's my guy?
was like, I wonder if this is the same guy, and it was another X-Wing pilot. I was like,
I know.
on.
Yeah, they were coming up to the X-Wing, and I'm like, show me my guy.
Yeah.
Show me Carson Teva. Is he? And I was like, who's this random person?
Yeah.
And he doesn't even. And I was like, is it Carson Teva? Is it Zeb? Is it Dave Filoni? Which
Probably
pilot
another
is
friend.
It? Yeah.
Another friend director,
Yeah. Eventually, we'll find out that it was so and so's brother or what have you. But yeah, all that to say, I really, really dug it. So do you have any other kind of... I've got a couple discussion points or other questions, but do you have anything that stuck out to you?
I'm wondering how the pirates are going to get back into the story now. So I know they put a bounty on his head, but, like, you don't get... all of those actors to play all of those pirates and then not bring them back in. Do you think that they're eventually going to lead all these pirates to At-Aden? Like, is it going
100%.
Yeah.
Well, there was that shot from one of the trailers of Jude Law talking to someone in what looked like some type of nicer, almost gold-tinted room of like, there's a crew of murderous pirates coming this way. I think he's at Aden, and he's letting them know, like, you've got to get ready.
Yeah.
I have a way that I think the pirates are going to get in, but finish your thought, and then I'll...
Well, and then it's like, okay, well, what's the future for At-Aden? Is it not a safe place anymore? Like, have they just ruined their entire planet by going on this adventure? Like, have they caused a whole planet's demise by going on this adventure? That's pretty heavy for a kid-led story, But... Yeah.
Well, and that was a question I had for you last week where I said, what do we think the end game of the kids is do them and their families, are they going to go off into the wider galaxy and they're not going to be, like, kept hidden anymore, or are they going to stay on At-Aden and change it for the better? I think at the end of the day, they're going to still be on At-Aden and have changed it for the better, but I think it's going to be an actual open to the galaxy normal planet now. But, okay, so the way I think the pirates are going to get into the story... I'm worried about Kim. I think that they made that owl really likable. They gave her a great moment with KB and just generally being a cool caretaker with the kids. And in stories like this, where you've established there's a bad guy hunting the good guys, usually there's a moment or two where the good guys stop off, meet a new friend, leave, and then later on the bad guys find them through sometimes killing that friend. I'm worried about Kim. And I was sitting there going, that's going to be a way to double down on Brutus being an actual hateable bad guy if he kills our owl friend. It'll be the type of thing that, like, off screen. So, like, they show up, they go back to Kim, and she's gone.
Yeah.
And you find out that Brutus did it.
Or, like, the camera pans away and you just hear, like,
yeah,
blaster
something
fire.
like that. Yeah. She, like, refuses to give up the kids, and he's like, fine. So my other questions, discussion points, the scene with the parents begging to meet with the supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
They never say that they have, I think there isn't one.
I think there is.
Okay.
My theory is that the supervisor is either a very, very old Jedi.
Okay.
Old Republic, took what is, in the High Republic, what is the one where you, go on sabbatical?
The Barrage Vow.
Yeah, I think it would, Barrage Vow Jedi. Or is the pirate that has his treasure there and is or their grandson or whatever. I have a feeling that it is somebody and that they are not true to the intentions of the planet, because the whole planet is Big Brother vibes. It sets me on edge. I don't know if it's too real to the modern world, or is California, But the fact that every droid is a camera, and I know we carry around cameras on our bodies at all times, and we actually kind of live in a dystopia sometimes, but the utopia dystopia giver vibes is just setting every alarm I have. This is not a good planet. Something is wrong here. Alert, Danger Will Robinson. So I think it's led by somebody who is a little evil or misguided or thinks they're doing the right thing but isn't.
I think it is an artificial intelligence.
Oh, really?
I think it is either a droid or it is a program, or it's a recording of the supervisor before they were killed, giving the order to hide the planet. And so the security droids are following that protocol, and they're keeping the planet hidden. And then just to carry that further, I wonder if the treasure that is on this planet is something that the droids have used to make the planet such a utopia. That might not really make a lot of sense now that I actually think about it.
Yeah.
But either way, I think that it is either going to be revealed to be a droid and not what any of the parents expected.
Yeah. Or
it's a program, or there isn't a supervisor and the droids are just in charge now.
Yeah, could be.
And I think that's going to be what it is. I don't necessarily think there's anything. There might also be something nefarious going on as to why they're keeping all these people here, but I think it could just be as simple as they're being manipulated to follow an outdated directive.
Yeah, it could be.
What
do you think? So, why do you think all of their jobs are analyst or data entry, or they're all of their jobs are so,
I think it's because they're being run by a droid or a droid program, and it would not surprise me at all if the numbers that they're running are completely inconsequential, if not just nonsense. They're not doing anything. They're just being made to basically to turn off, right?
Yeah.
To not be present, to not have minds of their own, just do these mindless, brain-numbing jobs to not cause problems, not think for yourself, not try to leave.
Yeah.
Because why would you leave? You got too much work to do.
Yeah.
They're being programmed. But yeah. So that's everything I got on that. But the deep cut of the episode, Crimson Jack is a name that exists in Star Wars wider canon. Crimson Jack is the first original villain from the 1970s Marvel Comics.
Oh, really?
He's the villain of the story arc, of the first original story arc from Marvel comic books. He's a pirate villain for Han Solo.
Okay.
He first appears in Star Wars number 7, which is the first issue after the Marvel Comics adaptation of Star Wars A New Hope. And he was a pirate villain, got a big red beard, looks nothing like Jude Law.
Yeah.
And in Legends
so
he gets
Scottish looking.
Oh, yeah. Big jacked and a big red beard.
Yeah.
But Han shoots him to death in Star Wars 15, I think, or something like that. And then in canon, he also shows up looking mostly the same in the Halcyon Legacy comics, which was comic books they made to tie into the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Oh, cool.
And surprisingly, because I got bitter when I saw those coming out. I was like, what a shameless, dumb corporate tie-in. The comics are actually pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. And there were elements of the story that tied into things you could do on Star Cruiser. Star Cruiser may have been very overpriced, but I'm actually quite bitter that it's gone. Anyway, but so that's who Crimson Jack is. Right now, Wikipedia on, this show hasn't even been out for 24 hours yet, this episode.
Yeah.
Wikipedia is running with the explanation that Jude Law is just using that moniker.
After Han killed him. Yeah.
Or, well, canonically, I don't remember if Crimson Jack appeared in the original trilogy time in that comic. No, it was in the First Order Resistance War.
Okay.
So in canon, Crimson Jack was around way later than in the original trilogy. Or maybe it was that Jodna Nawwood was the original Crimson Jack, and then Crimson Jack took that name for himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
pirates do that all the time. They're like, I'm this person,
Fun, yes, 100%. And it would make sense, like, if Jack Sparrow was an intergalactic pirate, he would want to have different names so that he could operate without everybody being mad at the same guy.
Yeah.
To
this
these
sector,
people are
I'm
looking
Crimson
for
Jack. For this sector, I'm Silvo. For this sector,
yeah, because I screwed over this guy, but they're looking for Captain Silvo.
Yeah.
And so, other side of the galaxy, I screwed over this person, but they're looking for Crimson Jack. They might have his face, but whatever. Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And then the last big discussion point, just the whole Jewels of the Old Republic, this new bit of lore, planets of wonders kept hidden for their protection, all destroyed except for one. So is there a specific wonder for Aden? Is it just that it's a preposterous amount of pirate treasure? Or is there a specific wonder on this planet?
It could be that it's self-sustaining. I mean, because I was thinking about this, being a utopia and all that. I was like, okay, but in modern days, all countries in our world need trade. We have to trade to get resources and all that. And I know this is its own planet, so it could just, be self-sustaining, like our planet kind of is. We don't need intergalactic trade to survive. So I guess it's not too preposterous to think of, but it's like, okay, but they've kept hidden for so long. What is it that is keeping them able to do that, but also still have hover bikes and still have, the technology advancement? So I'm curious what that is too, or if they even explain it.
Right on. Yeah. I don't know. The simple, elegant solution would be that it's just teeming with pirate treasure, and that's part of why it was kept hidden. But we don't know. I just like that there's a new, cool legend in the Star Wars universe. You talked about mystery earlier.
Yeah.
A fundamental element to high advancy, my God in heaven, high adventure, high fantasy stories like this is mysteries that you can sum up in a sentence that sound cool, that sound bigger than you can imagine. Planets that were hidden for their protection is a wild concept that is instantly exciting. And you can do things like that when you make your main characters new. They're new to this universe. They are discovering it. And because they're discovering it, we are too.
Yeah.
And it's not being explained to them. It's just like, wait, that exists? What? Can't deal with it yet. X-Wings are coming. We got to go.
Yeah.
The
Empire, the war. What war? What?
Yes, exactly. And she's just like, huh. I love it. Closing thoughts for our review for Skeleton Crew Episode 3, dude.
Yeah, high-octane mystery, piratey wonderfulness. It's great. Mm-hmm. I'm really enjoying it. I really like the show, and it's so fun. And I don't know how they'll do a Season 2, but that'll segue into in a second.
So, yeah, my closing thoughts, just that really wonderful moment between KB and Kim. What did he tell you to do? Use your gut? Use your head.
Yeah.
Get the truth. Mm-hmm. In life, use your head. Get the truth. Follow your instincts. That's important. But Star Wars is very, very heavy on, like, the the mystical fantasy, like, hippie advice to be critical of, like, feel, don't think, use your instincts, and all that type of stuff. And it's like, yeah, but also use your head.
Yeah.
Be smart. Don't be dumb. And I loved that tied directly into the next moment where they were trying to turn in Captain Silvo, Jadna Nawwood, Crimson Jack.
Yeah.
And it was only after he was like, fine, whatever, I will work for you, that they formed a partnership. We will see how honorable Jadna Nawwood actually is, and I am excited to go on that journey. But that's our review for Skeleton Crew Episode 3, and Zach, take us into our first news story.
Yeah, so we're going to stay on the Skeleton Crew train. Skeleton Crew Season 2, Collider had an interview with Christopher Ford and John Watts, and they said, quote, "We 100% have an idea for the second season and know what we would do. You'll be growing up the kids, but we wouldn't do like a Stranger Things thing where it's like the next day, because it won't be." They go in further to talk about how like they want to age with the kids, you know, and so there'll probably be a time jump if they do get a second season. All of this is, I think, very interesting news, because I did not expect this show to get a second season. I thought it was going to be a one wrapped up story. Cool. That was really fun. Next to Star Wars Pirates, we'll follow one of the characters, you know. Kind of like Arcane's doing, where they finish their season 2, and then they're going to branch off and do character bits, you know. But What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is all good. And we've talked about it before with, like, whether or not there's going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2. Or really, we talked about it with Ahsoka and The Acolyte, how those shows, the seasons ended on cliffhangers.
Yeah.
And then we have found out later it was never confirmed there was going to be a Season 2. I love that this sounds like they're not ending on a cliffhanger. They are telling a story.
Yeah.
And then if it hits, which it looks like it is, good. They definitely have ideas for what they would do for Season 2, and I think that's the way that you do it.
Yeah.
They didn't greenlight the entire MCU at once. They greenlit Iron Man. Mm-hmm. And then Iron Man was a hit, and then they tacked on the post-credit scene of the Avengers Initiative, and it's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But tell a good story. And if it takes off, expand. Don't plan on 8 seasons when you haven't even gotten one done yet. You know, especially now, and I could be talking out of my butt, because we could get to episode 8 and then it ends on a huge cliffhanger and we're like, oh. But this sounds like they're not doing that, and that makes me very, very happy. Just tell a story.
Yeah. And
then have ideas for more. Leave doors open for more, but tell a complete story.
I mean, look at Hope. A New Hope is a full story, done.
On the nose.
Don't need a second one, but you could.
On the nose. They did go into more specific detail that they talked about how they're locked in because of the age of the kids, because it'll probably have been 3 or 4 years in like real lifetime between productions, because this was shot potentially as much as like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The show was supposed to come out last December and then got delayed. And there's been all kinds of debate as to why, but whatever. Neither here nor there. And I like that they are not doing the stupid Stranger Things thing where Elle looks like she's 35 years old now, and they're still talking to her. Dude, it is the stupidest thing. Look at pictures of them between season 3 and season 4.
Yeah.
And they're acting like it's been 6 months. And I'm like, it looks like it's been 5 years. They look completely different, with the exception of the young lady that plays Max. She's on the Paul Rudd, like, vampire train where she looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, I don't want to say they look terrible. They
went
through
puberty.
It's stupid for them to be like, nah, man, it's been 5 minutes. Wink. That's dumb. And I much prefer, this is just a personal thing, I much prefer what is a more Star Wars style of story, which is where you let time pass between chapters, because then you are instantly dropped into a new situation with mystery that is not explained. And you're going, the characters look different. Time has passed, not the characters look completely different. Stop trying to tell me it's been 5 minutes. There's just a weird disconnect for me where I'm like, it has not been 5 minutes. You have a beard now. Like, this is strange. And with the amount of, like, physical growth that the cast of Skeleton Crew is going to do, before they're able to get into production again.
Yeah.
Like, one of them might hit a growth spurt. We don't know.
Yeah.
So let's
Neil might be
acknowledge
6
that.
feet tall. Like,
and that would be fantastic if that was the case, because then you are instantly in a completely different situation. And now it's the
puberty
kids.
Version? Yes. Like,
now it's the kids. They've dealt with, like, the 11, 12-year-old or maybe 10-year-old outlook on life. Now make them have to deal with the middle school awkward.
Yeah.
Dive straight into it. I love it. I think that is all good stuff, and I'm very, very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of all good stuff and things that I'm very, very happy and fulfilled
this is a
by
wild story.
and confused by, Rotta the Hutt has been cast for the Mandalorian and Grogu, played by Jeremy Allen White. Jeremy Allen White, of 2-time Emmy winner from The Bear.
Yeah, I think...
and Rotta the Hutt is, of course, the son of Jabba the Hutt. Last seen, period, has not been seen anywhere else since the Clone Wars movie in 2010. So where's Rotta the Hutt? People have been asking for 14 years. He's in The Mandalorian and Grogu, played by Jeremy Allen White.
Runner-up for the sexiest man alive, playing a sluggy slug.
Who's named Stinky.
Yeah.
So, Zach, what are your takeaways on this fantastically ridiculous piece of news?
I think Jeremy Allen White is a fantastic actor. I think The Bear he's amazing in. Iron Claw he was amazing in. He is a great, great actor. I think it is wild. I think it's a wild, wild casting. I'm so curious to see what it's gonna be. Like, is he gonna end up, like the strong, Hutt from the Fantasy Flight games? Like, is he gonna be a buff Hutt? Is he gonna just be Jabba the Hutt Jr.? Is he just gonna, What I really am excited about this means that we're probably gonna get Boba in there and Fennec and more of the Tatooine bit, because who's sitting on his dad's throne but Boba Fett? So you don't bring in Rotta the Hutt and not talk about Tatooine and all that,
Yeah. Unless he's made a home for himself someplace else.
Yeah. But either way, he's going to be like, you helped overthrow my dad. Like, you helped the person who's on my dad's throne. I'm not going to help you. Do you think he's going to speak Galactic Basic?
I've been wondering. Yeah. So for them to cast an actor, like a named actor, and we assume this is vocal work, maybe mocap, but the Jon Favreau way has been to bring in famous people after the fact to do just ADR, to record the voice. And that's probably what this is, would be my guess. He's done it with more than Pedro. There's been several other cameos that were just vocal work. But yeah, I wonder, for them to cast an actor of name, is this going to be a Hutt that can speak Basic? When
we've seen it
Boba
before.
was visited, was it Zero that spoke Basic? Okay.
Do you think he's gonna be like Zero, your favorite Hutt, Matt?
I sincerely hope that he is not like Zero.
He might do his homework, and be like, "Oh, this is how Hutts talk now."
I would.
For those of you who don't know, Matt hates that voice.
I would probably think it was hilarious, but it would take some getting used to for me. And we have seen Basic. Zero's Mama the Hutt, talked in like a voice like this. So it is possible. I don't think we've seen it in live action. When the twins visited Boba on the Book of Boba Fett, those Hutts, they spoke Huttese.
Yeah,
right?
They had translators, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right.
Or it was
well,
subtitles or something. But.
So what this could be with Rotta the Hutt, if you're bringing in wider stuff in the Aftermath books, the same place that, oh my gosh, what's the sheriff's name? Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
Same place that Cobb Vanth and Mos Pelgo or Freetown come from. You check in with them in all three of those Aftermath books, if I remember correctly, in the interludes, right? And then in the last story, I believe, it's that Cobb Vanth has put together this homestead, Freetown, and they're trying to make Tatooine better. And then the kicker is that they have a Huttlet. And they say, no, we have something that could change this planet. We have a Huttlet. And the whole idea that I got out of it is they're trying to raise him out, or they're trying to raise the Huttlet away from all the crime and the cartel, and they're trying to give themselves a community withstanding in a world of crime. And so what if that Huttlet was Rotta the Hutt, and that they've got Jabba's and it's only been maybe 30 years, if I remember right, since the Clone Wars. So it is entirely possible that he could still be very, very young, considering he was a baby in the Clone Wars film, and it could be that they're keeping him hidden. Maybe away. What would you think about that? To take Jabba's throne, and Boba will be like, "Cool, we got an heir that's also not a douchebag, like these other Hutts." Does that sound too silly? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's possible.
You don't like it.
I don't really like that.
Hit me. I was talking out of my butt.
No, I mean, like, it's possible if they've set it up in those books, but it's like, one, why does this town have a Huttlet? Did they steal someone's son? Like, you know.
Well, it's canon that they have one.
Yeah.
At least in terms of as far as that book goes.
Yeah. But also, why didn't we see that in Mando? Like,
I've been thinking that, but then for them to announce that Rotta the Hutt is here, and he's going to be in this movie, you're not going to put Jabba's son. Jon Favreau is too straightforward of a storyteller for him to not put Jabba's son in there and not establish or comment on in some way that he is the heir to Jabba's throne.
Yeah.
That just seems too straightforward. So, to me, bridge the gap.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that makes sense.
Say that he's been being taken care of in Freetown and being hidden and, like, looked after.
What bothers me is the age of Rotta, you know, because he's... I mean, I guess Grogu's 50 years old and still a baby, but it's like, you know, why are we making all these aliens, like, 80 years old and children?
Hutts have a very long lifespan. Yeah. I think they live 1,000 years as well, like... And we know that Yoda lived to be around 900 or so. 900 or 800, one of the two.
But if he's taking over the throne, because, like, the twins giving Boba the Rancor was a way of, like, being like, this is your throne now. You know, so, like, for him to come and take it is an interesting story beat.
I don't think it would be, unless he's an antagonist, unless he's the villain of the film. I don't necessarily think it would be that. I think it would be like a knighting, or it would be something where they're just like, cool. There's the line is in place. Yeah. There's going to be another daimyo that isn't a douchebag.
Yeah. My question with all this is, what is the story of this movie going to be then?
That makes me excited.
I was like, because I wanted it, I don't know, if it's a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, I want it to be as much about Grogu as it is Mando. And to go back to Tatooine feels like you're bringing in Boba Fett for some reason.
And we should say, this is all speculation on my part. It could be that Rotta the Hutt is a one-scene cameo where they just establish that he's out there and what he's doing, and it's kind of a, wait, what? And then you're on to the story.
Yeah.
You know, this is purely speculation. But who knows? It could be that he's the one that hires him for a job.
Could be.
You know,
we could go to Nar Hutta.
Very, very simple.
Or is it Nar Hutta?
Nal Hutta.
Nal Hutta, yeah.
Nar Shaddaa and orbits Nal Hutta.
Yeah.
It's confusing. But okay. So we did our news.
Nice.
And you know what we got time for?
Mailbag.
We got time for some mailbags.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into it. We've gotten questions from the same three dudes so far, but go ahead and send us your question if you would like it to be answered on the show. Let's dive into this one from my little brother, Zach.
Do that one.
Well, the short one. From him.
Yes. Sorry.
It's all good. Whose lightsaber hilt is your favorite?
Yeah, this one was really hard for me to think about. I really had to think long and hard because I really like a lot of lightsabers. But I think my favorite might be the Canon Cal Kestis.
Cool.
I really like the emitter. I like the really long, emitter. Kanan's is also up there for me because the emitter is very interesting and cool. Ahsoka's original lightsabers were up there for me because they are just so different and like I really like the long design. But I think overall, I think it's Cal Kestis's, and I love the like broken off end at the back. You know, the hilt tells a story just by looking at it, and I think that's why it's my favorite.
Cool.
What about you?
Love that. To be shameless and to reveal something, my favorite lightsaber hilt is probably mine from Galaxy's Edge. So I will show the camera this thing.
Nice.
It's long hilt. I forget what it's called, but you can pick your categories.
And something, I think.
Yeah, it's the idea is that it's made out of like wood from the Wookiee trees. I love this thing. I think it is so cool. It is, and then then you have like the metal coming out of the wood, and I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
But to pick one, a much less elegant answer, my favorite, just purely aesthetic lightsaber hilt is honestly Leia's.
Oh,
from
Leia's
The Rise
is
of Skywalker.
really pretty.
I love the gold inlay on from hers.
Yeah, it has like rose gold in it.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and to stay, to be a writer about it, it looks like a lightsaber that a princess would have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all right, thanks for that question, Mark. So moving on to one from Dustin Potter. I love this question. I think this is very creative and very, very cool. Zach, what would the force of others' clone legion look like?
Yeah, so I think it definitely, no matter what, it has to be, the helmets have to, I want them to have those visors. Like the speeder bike visor, or like, I want that to be the helmet. I think we got to go black and yellow, which is a color scheme we haven't seen yet. So I'm thinking like either like black portions with like yellow gold inlay, or like, maybe a full black suit with like gold inlays, gold visor, gold, but there's a website where you can like go in and like kind of like design your own clone and like add the colors and stuff like that to the armor. I was trying to do that on my phone, but it's way too hard to do on your phone. But maybe I'll go in there and we'll post it.
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's 100%. Let's post this. Yes, let's get that before this episode goes live, and hopefully you're looking at that right now. But yeah, I was gonna do basically the same thing. If you don't know, it's been established that clone legions, they have their own look. Like the 501st has blue accents. 101st has gray accents. I might have gotten that wrong. Either way. And I was thinking the exact same thing. They might almost be, to take from our show logo, black background, yellow accents. It's very much Pittsburgh Steelers colors. I was thinking black
not
clone.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, but they got a cool aesthetic.
They do.
They got the black armor with yellow accents, so it almost sounds like they're like a recon legion or something, if they're like an undercover clone legion. Which is weird because our podcast is all about connecting with other people and not sneaking. But yeah, that's exactly what I would do. So I love it, and we will hopefully have that for you by the time this episode goes live, if not sooner. Love that question, Dustin. Thank you very much. Moving on to a fun question that all fans should keep in the forefront of your mind. Canon is canon, but none of this is real anyway, so have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's a question from friend of the show, Brian Lawson. Zach, what is your favorite Star Wars headcanon?
My favorite Star Wars headcanon is that the Clone Wars was not however many years it says, but much, much longer.
100%.
Because of all of the stuff we get from the Clone Wars TV series, and even just the massive look difference between Attack of the Clones and Return of the... Revenge of the Sith. Of Anakin. Like, that boy went from a boy to a man. Like, and he went from a 15-year-old to, like, a 25-year-old in, like, 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the Clone Wars took way longer than they in universe. That's my headcanon that I love that.
Yeah. Well, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. There's been a couple, Sam Witwer has said it a couple times, that in his and Dave Filoni's interpretation, the Clone Wars were much longer.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I like that from a an organizational perspective, they say that it's been 3 years just because, fine, let's keep the world consistent.
Yeah.
But story-wise, you can absolutely just kind of wink and think of it as having been 10, and it changes nothing. Mm-hmm. It changes absolutely nothing, and it just makes it more... It makes it broader, more epic in a way.
Yeah.
My favorite Star Wars headcanon is a much, much smaller thing. This is a... Zach, you can look this up if you haven't seen it, but it is a Star Wars fan comic by a artist named Tyson Murphy, and it is called Ben. I'm going to tell you the story of this comic because it absolutely makes the one moment in The Force Awakens so emotional for me. So it's called Ben. Panel 1, Chewbacca the Wookiee is holding baby Ben Solo. Panel 2, Panel 3, Ben's growing up, and he's hanging out with his buddy Chewie. Panel 4, Ben is face down, just destroyed emotionally, sitting next to Chewie, and Chewie's got his hand on his shoulder. Next panel, next to, Ben walks away, and that next panel, Chewie is alone. These were friends that grew up, and Ben got sad and left. Smash cut to the next panel, Ben having just stabbed Han Solo.
Yeah.
So we're in The Force Awakens. Chewie raises the bowcaster, and you see down the sight, Chewie has aimed at Ben's head.
Mm-hmm.
Next 2 panels are Chewie looking upset, not wanting to do that. Last panel, he aims for Ben's hip.
Yeah.
This is more to me than just a Chewie could have killed him if he wanted to. He's a better shot. That's not what this is about for me. This is about, I like the acknowledgement. I love the acknowledgement that Ben... that this is Chewie's basically adopted son.
Yeah.
This is his nephew. This is someone that he held as a baby. This is someone that he watched grow up. He does not have it in his Wookiee heart to kill this kid.
Yeah.
And that is my headcanon forever. So yeah, there you go. Hit you in the feels, everybody. But last question. So is from friend of the show, Rocky Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any Legends content you'd like to see make its way into official canon that hasn't made its way yet? Do you have anything, Zach?
I would love to see more incorporation from KOTOR. You know, there's a lot of stuff there that I would love to see. You know, I'd love to see a little bit more of like, even like the Old Republic massive MMORPG, like all the Sith lore there, and like, you know, whole Sith planets. I would love to see a lot more of that. I just like Ancient Sith, I think, would be an interesting pre-Rule of Two. We don't have a lot of that, and so I think that would be very interesting to kind of flesh out canon-wise. And then I also want to see Thrawn's force-dampening lizards. I can't remember what they're called, but I want to see those.
It's literally what I would want to see make its way into canon, the Issa Lamiri.
Yeah, Issa Lamiri.
So in Legends, the Issa Lamiri are introduced in the original Thrawn novels. They're introduced in Heir to the Empire. We've talked about it a lot on the show. Thrawn goes to meet a Dark Jedi, which is what they were called at the time, because he knows he needs a Force sensitive on his side to take the New Republic down. This Dark Jedi force lightnings towards him, and it just stops within a couple feet of Thrawn, like it hit an invisible barrier.
Yeah.
And Thrawn doesn't explain in the moment why, but he has this force-dampening lizard on his shoulders, and it's called an Issa Lamiri. In Legends, they created bubbles that push back the Force. You go on to find out that they do this because there are these Force-sensitive wolves on their home planet that hunt with the Force.
Yeah.
So the Issa Lamiri evolved to create bubbles that they can hide in that are kind of anti-Force. George Lucas didn't like that because if the Force exists in all life, you can't just, like, turn it off.
Yeah.
But I think if there's a way that you can do it in canon, I think if it is a Force power that these Issa Lamiri have, that they can hide, they can create these bubbles, we have established that Ezra Bridger is the Dr. Doolittle of Jedi. So you could have an absolutely just all-time dope Star Wars moment.
Yeah.
Of Thrawn is going around with these Issa Lamiri, and it's his trump card to the Night Sisters, If they, like, twist off and they're going to kill him, they can't use the Force on him because they can't connect with the animal. Ezra would be able to connect with the animal and put it at peace, and I believe that he could make it drop its Force thing, and that he would be able to function, and that would be a way to tie in Rebels into this and make Issa Lamiri work. If you establish that it's not just light switch off, the Force is gone. If it's something that they do that you can work through, if you connect with them and you put them at peace, and you're like, I'm not going to hurt you, buddy.
Yeah.
That is a Star Wars story moment, and I really, really hope that we get to see it. So that's my answer.
They also have been referenced in Rebels. When Thrawn is first introduced, it's two sculptures behind him, but it's like, oh, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They exist somewhere.
Filoni has said, when Thrawn was announced back in Celebration, whenever that was, one of the Star Wars celebrations, he said from the jump, we're not adapting the Issa Lamiri because I don't think that works with how the Force works in George's version, which is what they're rolling with purely in canon. But I think if you tie in Ezra being able to push through that, I think that would 100% make it work, and it would make it really, really cool and interesting.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thanks for the questions, everybody.
Yeah.
We did a little mailbag. Dumped it out all over the table for you. And we had a nice short episode. It was a good one. I liked it. Good conversation. Skeleton Crew's giving us the good vibes. And we hope you carry these good vibes with you into your week. But Zach, let the people know what... Yeah, that was... my lightsaber was trying to activate, and it didn't work. Zach... Where can the people find you?
Yeah, I'm at Satisfaction on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that. But the best way to get to me is to email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com, or to, comment at us in our posts. I look at all those and respond, and, so reach us out to us there. Matt, where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Matt Beutner, Beutner. Good luck with your spelling. You can also find me, on the YouTubes for the show, Force of Others, and email forceofothersradio@gmail.com. Send us these questions. We're starting to work through them.
Yeah.
We will get through them. And give us more stuff. We want to answer your things. I don't claim to be a Star Wars encyclopedia, but I've been called one. So
we got a lot of knowledge between the two of us.
Between the two of us, we got a lot of this universe handled, and we would love to talk over with you, and we would love to bring you into the discussion.
Yeah.
Speaking of real quick, the social medias, with TikTok potentially going away, if you are a TikToker, come over to YouTube. We post all the same stuff and more. So come join the party. If TikTok stops, our party is not going to stop.
Yeah.
There you go. And remember, as Kim told KB, use your head. Find the truth. Seek the truth this week. My truth right now is that Skeleton Crew rocks, and I can't wait for another episode. But always remember, everybody, and remember, the force of others will be with you.
Always! The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.